My name is Wadei Powell, and I'm a Liberian, and I work with Firestone as the General Services Manager. I moved to Liberia on October 5th, 2005. I returned to Liberia simply because it's home. Advice for others planning on moving home. Mostly I would say check whatever reservations that you have at the airport when you're coming to Liberia. The Liberia that many of us knew prior to leaving is not the same Liberia right now. So when you come here, you have to come with an open mind, and you have to be willing to learn, in as much as you're willing to share whatever experiences that you've gotten abroad. But I think that being open to learning and being open to sharing and having a lot of patience and a lot of room for change and attitude adjustment is a pretty good starting point. But I also think that as part of your decision making to come home, Liberia is it's sweet and it's sour right now. There are lots and lots of things to enjoy about it. The number one factor being that it's your home, and there's nowhere else like home. But we've grown, we who have lived abroad have grown used to a lot of amenities that are not here in Liberia. And if you're going to be making a decision to come back home, part of your decision making should include the fact that you will be going without a lot of things that you're used to having. And I think once you get your mind adjusted and wrapped around that fact, coming here and being here will be much better. Doing business in Liberia. The greatest lesson that I've learned, I think, is that there's always room for change and learning. Things are done very, very differently here in Liberia than anywhere else in the world. And if you have the mindset where you're stuck on doing things a certain way, you will get very frustrated coming here. I think that there's a lot of work to be done here as far as developing systems and processes here. But I think that there's a lot also to be learned from maybe thinking out of the box and looking at things from a different perspective. This is what I call a developing nation, even though many, many years ago we've thought of ourselves as being, on top. But we are in the very, very early stages of development in the sense of a country and in the sense of systems. We are very behind in a lot of things that people elsewhere take for granted. So patience, you're definitely going to need a lot of patience while you're here, or if you're coming here. But I think for me, it's been a learning experience. I've grown so much from being here, and I've learned so much about how businesses run and how countries run, and being so close to the action and understanding a little bit better of what goes into the decision making and some of the hard decisions that you need to make, and some of the things that could go wrong. For us who lived most of our adult lives in the U.S., we have a government that functions, and we really don't know how it functions. We really don't know what goes into it because it's such a big place. But here, Liberia being so small, every single thing that occurs in the government or the private sector or whatever is put on front page, and we know all about it. And we all think that we have the answers and the solutions, but believe me, we don't. It's a very difficult place to be right now, and as far as there are a lot of changes that are going on. There is a learning curve. There's a lot of new people coming into the picture. There's a lot of gelling of the old and the new. So I think just being patient and just understanding that I don't have the answers to everything has been the number one lesson that I've learned being here. My experience working in the States. In the U.S., you go into a company and you work with that company, and there's systems set up. And you go in, and they show you where the coffee maker is, they show you where your desk is and where your computer is, and you jump in, and there's a system already set up. The difference here in Liberia, working for even a company such as Firestone, is all of these systems are now being developed, are now being built. I know people like to people will often refer to the lack of professionalism or the lack of professional staff in Liberia, but there's a reason for that. Liberia has been down a really, really bad road. And for 20 some odd years, I know people refer to the war years, but I think it even started before the war years. We as a country and as a nation did not focus on professional development. We're starting to now, and some of the things that we take for granted that someone working in a particular position would know or should know are things that they don't. So it's been a real cultural adjustment, a professional adjustment, working with people who are not necessarily up to the level that you think they should be at. On the flip side of that, you have people who make things happen out of nothing. I always like to use the phrase that if it can be broken, it would be broken in Liberia, and if it can be fixed, it would be fixed in Liberia. Because people come up with the most ingenious ways on how to deal with situations and how to fix problems and how to make do with the little that you have. So to me, that's really the major difference in dealing or in working for a company in an environment or in a country that's well established, as opposed to working in a country where everything is in the developmental stage.